government and major developer ExxonMobil have formalized the financial deal for the LNG project.
An equivalent of about 42 billion kina for the project's 70% debt financing component, placing the country on the global financial map.
Mining is often portrayed as a contributor to sustainable development, especially so in developing countries such as Papua New Guinea. Since 1970, several large mines have been developed in PNG: the Panguna mine, Oktedi, Pogera, Lihir and the Ramu mine. Since the early days, environmental standards and social impacts have often been questioned. Bad mining practices lead to mine waste discharged to rivers or oceans, leading to widespread environmental and social impacts to the point of civil war in the case of Panguna and the Bougainville copper mine. The intimate links between indigenous communities and the environment have invariably been underestimated or ignored, leading many to question mining's role in PNG's development. The digital age has signaled a new era for mining when it comes to sustainability. The use of computerized or digital devices or systems and digitized data are designed to reduce costs, improve business productivity, and transform mining practices. With this in mind, delegates from mining and petroleum projects around Papua New Guinea, including government agencies, landowner companies and community-based organizations, were in Port Moresby for the two-day 2022 Community Affairs and Business Development Workshop organized by the PNG Chamber of Mines and Petroleum at the Hilton Hotel. The annual workshop provides an inclusive platform for the resource industry, government, landowner companies and associations and community-based organizations to discuss initiatives, challenges and share ideas on community affairs best practices. This year the theme was PNG Resources Securing the Next Wave of Responsible Investment. On the last day during session 6, former politician and now country manager for Ramoniko, Tommy Tomskol, shared the role of Ramoniko and the role it plays in sustainable initiatives as a responsible corporate organization.
We are committed to protect the environment and mitigate the effects of the climate change and also on the environment. Ramon Nickel operates under a strict environment management plan approved by SEPA and consistent with the environment permit conditions.
Mr. Tomskol emphasized that when it comes to sustainable initiatives, it is the responsibility of not only the mining companies but the government as well.
The government creates hostile investment conditions. You will of course get rogue investors coming into this country. Cutting short, we all know this biblical phrase, you will reap what you sow. So don't come after. You will reap what you sow.
Also in attendance at the mining workshop was Kumu Petroleum Holdings Limited Board Director Mr. Paul Nerau, who has over 40 years of extensive experience working in the petroleum sector, the mining sector, manufacturing industry and commercial business since the 1970s. Mr. Nerau at one time was the managing director of the Bougainville copper mine. He spoke on the importance of building human resources and capacity as this is sustainable for PNG's future.
Mining, like I keep reminding of people about Bougainville copper mine. I think the sustainability, the future is about the human beings, the citizens of this country. That is very important. So in any of our discussions, sustainability means how do our people sustain themselves after the closure of the mines.
Politicians are also weighing in on the issue of sustainability. Concerns were raised in Parliament earlier this week regarding the high cost of oil and gas in the country. Member for Rye Coast and the Vice Minister for International Trade and Investment, Kesi Sawan, questioned the Minister for Mining and Petroleum, Karen Gakua, on whether or not cheaper energy will be made available for Papua New Guineans. Sawan raised questions on whether there will be a reform on the existing Oil Land Gas Act 1998, which she said is not beneficial benefiting the people.
Are we going to reform the existing Oil and Gas Act 1998, which is not benefiting our people, and have Papua New Guinea have a fair share in the benefit sharing? Number 2 issue, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is this. We need cheaper energy to attract foreign direct investment, downstream processing, manufacturing, and moving PNG towards industrialization. What defies logic, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is this. We are blessed with so much energy, oil and gas. We extract, ship overseas, and we import the finished products at much higher cost. And we produce energy to only 13% of our people. So my question to the Minister for Energy is, are you going to provide cheaper, sustainable and accessible energy to Papua New Guinea?
The Rye Coast MP further questioned the Minister for Energy and Petroleum if the government will provide cheaper, sustainable and accessible energy to Papua New Guinea. In his response, the Minister for Petroleum and Mining, Karen Gakua, stated that the Oil and Gas Act operates repressively against the people.
Most of us have always taken the view, Mr. Speaker, that the Oil and Gas Act operates repressively against the people of Papua New Guinea and the state. And since the Marape Basil government and now Marape Rosso government has been in office, we have been looking for means and ways to reform the existing statutory regime. The current regime we have under the Oil and Gas Act is a post-World War II regime, which is based on a system called a concession-based licensing system. That's where operators come in, we give them licenses, they make a discovery, and we forfeit our right of ownership to them 100%. And very importantly, we give it to them FOC. Upon receiving that gift, they then sell back a certain percentage back to us. This applies to both petroleum and mining. In mining, there's an option for them to sell us up to 30%, and in petroleum, 22.5%. So what we give them free the other day, they sell it back to us the next day for a commercial price. So what happens here is that when that offer is made, we run off to the banks and we borrow money to buy back that percentage that's been offered. So it's called a buyback scheme. Or from the Papua New Guinea's perspective, you can call it a buyback scam. So it doesn't operate well for us, Mr. Speaker. So if we are right-thinking leaders, we want to maximize benefit out of our natural resources for the benefit of the people of this country. We have to reform this law.
Looking at best mining practices, Oktedi Mine, with 10 years of mine life remaining, is committed to enabling a sustainable future for its 158 community mine continuation agreement communities post-closure. OTML Managing Director and CEO Musewera said, and I quote, "Oktedi will be the first big mine to close, and there will be many lessons that will be drawn from Oktedi's experience, not only from the technical aspects of closure, but importantly from the social and sustainability aspects as well." End quote. Mr. Wera added that OTML is developing the social and closure strategy, which will address focus areas as identified in its Vision 2025. These include the following: transfer of public infrastructure assets, for example the maintenance of the Tabubil-Kiunga Highway, to third parties prior to cessation of production, creating alternative income generating opportunities for the CMCA communities, sustaining community programs implemented by the Oktedi Development Foundation, increased national and local content in service contracts, and the nationalization of leadership roles in OTML. Mr. Wera further added that it will be challenging given the mine-related dependencies built over time and the lack of commercial industries operating in the Western Province. OTML funds and operates the mining township of Tubblebill, which include the Tubblebill Hospital at an annual cost of about 150 million kina, maintains the Kiunga-Tubblebill Highway at 30 million kina a year, and provides power and water and sewage services in Kiunga at a cost of about 30 million kina per annum. Mr. Wera said, and I quote, "We need to identify new owners that can assume and operate these services well before mine closure so these services can be sustained. Finding the right owners is not easy, let alone the ongoing funding to maintain the service post-closure." End quote. Despite these challenges, the province is privileged to have major development partners such as the government, OTDF, Sustainable Development Program Limited, Incentive Fund, and Innovative Agro Industries who are already implementing sustainable development programs in the province. Mr. Wera said OTML will continue to have discussions with these partners, including the Fly River Provincial Government, to address these challenges. Mr. Wera concluded by saying it is time to ensure the people of the Western Province, more so the CMCA communities, are better off into the future, for they have given their land and waterways to support the development of the country since the commencement of the mine production in 1984. Since 1970, the mining industry has dominated PNG's economy. Mineral exports are gold, silver, nickel, and cobalt. PNG mines are spread across the country. The mining sector is facing a range of competing trends and a rapidly changing global business environment against a backdrop of commodity price fluctuations. The Russia-Ukraine war, miners need to now balance shareholder dividend expectations while maintaining an investment pipeline of increasing operating costs. Safety, environmental, and community principles also continue to shape the industry as miners look to achieve their license to operate and deliver on corporate responsibilities and the government's desire for development. In the midst of it all are communities, human beings who will be affected by the operations of mining long after mine closure. These are the ones that will relocate back to their land where the mine once operated.